Assalamu alaikum dear students, this is Shahid, and in this video we are going to understand periodic table. What informations we can collect from the periodic table, okay, what group number is telling us, what period number is telling us, what are groups, what are periods, how can we identify the valencies of the elements, and how can we make a chemical formula just by understanding this periodic table. So this is our learning objectives of this video. So let's start moving towards the screen. So as you can see the periodic table on your screen, this is group number 1, which contains lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium. Group number 1, and this group number is called as alkali metals. Group number 1 is called as alkali metals. Then we have group number 2, this is group number 3, this is group number 4, this is group number 5, this is group number 6, 7 and 8. Group number 7 is known as halogens. And group number 7, after the group number 7 we have group number 8, that is known as noble gases. The group of noble gases. So beta ji, the vertical columns, this is the vertical column, this is called as group, and the horizontal rows, that is called as period. This is the period number 1, which contains only 2 elements. Period number 1. This is period number 2, which contains lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon. This is period number 3, which contains these 8 elements: sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine and argon. And this is period number 4, potassium and calcium, and up to so on we have transition metals. From these, as you can see in the center of the periodic table, you can see these elements. So they are generally heavy metals, transition elements, or you can say transition metals, okay, which are starting from the period number 4. Period number 4 से start हो रहे हैं transition elements, और center वाले जो elements हैं, in the center they are heavy metals. So group number is actually giving us the information about the valence electrons. As I told you, this is the group number 1, alkali metals, and you can see the number, this is 1. This 1 is telling you it has only 1 electron in the outermost shell. This 2 is telling you that this group, all the elements of this group, they are containing 2 electrons in the outermost shell, in the valence shell. Outermost shell means valence shell. Group number 3 elements are containing 3 electrons in the outermost shell. Group number 4 elements like carbon. Carbon is having 4 electrons in the valence shell. Nitrogen, which belongs from the group number 5, it contains 5 electrons in the outermost shell. Group number 6 elements are having 6 electrons. Group number 7 elements are having 7 electrons in the outermost shell, and group number 8 elements are having 8 electrons in the outermost shell. Mostly 8 electrons except helium, because helium is only having 2 electrons in the outermost shell. So we can see noble gases are containing 2 or 8 electrons in the outermost shell. And maximum, the shell contains 8 electrons, and every atom wants to attain 8 electrons in the outermost shell just to attain stability. So beta, group number 1 के outermost shell में कितने electrons हैं? 1 ना? So it can donate that electron. For example, we have lithium. Lithium has 2 electrons in the first shell and 1 electron in the second shell. So after donating this electron, it can accommodate 2 electrons in the first shell. That is actually the sign of stability. It is following the duplet rule. Containing 2 electrons in the outermost shell, that is the sign of stability. So similarly, this is beryllium. Beryllium is having 4 electrons in total, 2 electrons in the first shell, 2 electrons in the second shell. Okay? So after donating 2 electrons, it can accommodate 2 electrons in the first shell. So इस तरह से we can make the valencies. So after donating 1 electron, it will carry positive 1 charge. This is the valency of the group 1 elements. Group 2 elements are having plus 2 valency. Group 3 elements are having plus 3 valency. Group 4 elements are having plus 4 valency. After the group number 4, group number 5, although it is having 5 electrons in the outermost shell, but now you should understand it is difficult to remove 5 electrons. So it can gain 3 electrons. Okay? So after gaining 3 electrons, it will carry negative 3 charge. So mostly it will carry negative 3 charge. Group 6 elements will carry negative 2 charge on it. Group 7 elements will carry negative 1 charge. Why negative 1 charge? Because they have 7 electrons in the outermost shell. So after gaining 1 electron, it will carry negative 1 charge. Beta, electron means negative charge. So if it is gaining 1 electron, it means negative 1 charge is inducing. Alright? And group 8 elements, they are inert. They have completely filled the outermost shell. Okay? So the oxidation number, the valency is 0 for these elements. Remember this point. Alright? So group number 1, group number 2, group number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So which element we are having in the period 3 and group number 2? So this is group number 2. This is period number 1, 2 and 3. So it means I am talking about the magnesium. Magnesium belongs from the group number 2 and period number 3. So this is magnesium. So now this is what you have to tell me. Okay, what is the element which is present in the group number 5 and period number 4? Period 4 and group 5. Which element is this? This is what you have to mention in the comment box. Alright? So let's move on. As you can see here, I have mentioned group number and period number. So what information you can get from the group number? Beta, this is what we just discussed. Okay, group number say we can identify the number of valence electrons. For example, group number 1 may valence electrons 1 and group number 7 is having 7 electrons in the valence shell. Okay? And period number is telling you the information about the number of shells. Okay? Period 3 means there are total 3 shells. So period number is giving you the information about the number of shells. Alright? For example, if examiner will ask, silicon has how many shells present in its structure? So silicon, you just have to look into the periodic table. Silicon belongs from the period number 3. It means it has total 3 shells. How many shells are present in the structure of fluorine? Fluorine belongs from the period number 2. It means it has total 2 shells. Now we will discuss the electronic configuration. Means the distribution of electrons in various shells and subshells. Before moving to that concept, let's solve this question. There is an element belongs from the 5th group and 3rd period. Which element is this? Write down its symbol and mention its valency. So beta ji, group number 5. Let's have a look in the group number 5. This is group number 5. This is period number 1 में there are only 2 elements, hydrogen and helium, so there is no element present in the 5th group in the period 1. This is period 2, this is period 3, so it means the question is related to the phosphorus. All right, so we'll mention that the element is phosphorus. Which element is this? Write down its symbol. So we have phosphorus, its symbol is P. Okay, mention its valency. What is the valency of phosphorus? It belongs from the group number 5. It means it has 5 electrons in the outermost shell, so the valency should be -3. So there is an element phosphorus whose symbol is P and its valency is -3. So this is the answer of this particular question. Now have a look on the valencies and the electronic configuration. Remember this point. Beta ji, in the first shell, that is known as K, the second shell is known as L, M, and the fourth shell is N. In the first shell, there could be only 2 electrons, maximum 2 electrons can be accommodated by the first shell. Second shell can accommodate only 8 electrons. In O levels, because we are just concerned with the first 20 elements, that's why you can see that in the electronic configuration, the third shell is accommodating total 8 electrons, and in the fourth shell there are 2 electrons. That is only for the O-level students or IGCSE students. Otherwise, in the third shell, there could be 18 electrons accommodated by the M shell, and in the N shell, there could be 32 electrons. But in O levels, we don't have to look over this thing. All right. So let's discuss how electrons can be distributed in different shells. This is called actually electronic configuration, the distribution of electrons in the various shells according to their increasing energies. So as you can see here, the diagrammatic representation of the electronic configuration of the first 10 elements. For example, we have oxygen. Oxygen के total कितने electrons हैं? There are total 8 electrons. So how these 8 electrons are accommodated in different shells? This is called electronic configuration. In the first shell, you can see only 2 electrons. In the second shell, the remaining electrons will accommodate like 6. So as you can see here, this is the electronic configuration of oxygen, 2 and 6. For the sodium, as we know, the sodium has total 11 electrons. So in the first shell, there must be 2 electrons. In the second shell, there must be 8 electrons. So how many electrons are left behind? There is only 1 electron left behind because 10 electrons are accommodated in the first 2 shells. So only the last electron will be present in the third shell. So just by looking over the electronic configuration, we can identify the group number as well. So if I'll ask this question, sodium belongs from which group? This is the electronic configuration of sodium. So it belongs from which group? So beta ji, just look over the valence electron. It has only 1 electron in the valence shell. So it means it belongs from the group number 1. And by looking over this electronic configuration, how can you identify from which period this element is belonging? How many shells you can see here? 1, 2 and 3. So there are total 3 shells. It means it belongs from the period number 3. So let's have a look in the periodic table. क्या ये group 1 और period 3 से belong करता है? So here we have periodic table. Period number 1, period number 2, period number 3. Yes, this is period number 3 and group number 1. Sodium belongs from the period number 3 and group number 1. Yes, it is correct. So you have to remember these rules, and it will help you out in solving different past paper questions. So now let's solve this past paper question. This is quick check 2. The diagram shows the electronic configuration of 6 atoms. These are the 6 atoms. All are the atoms present here. A, which element is this, by the way? Only one electron you can see, so it is hydrogen. So let's have a look on the questions. Which one is the noble gas? Noble gas means it must have 2 or 8 electrons in the valence shell. So let's have a look. In E is having 8 electrons. Yes, it is noble gas. Any other element? No. So there is not the other element. There is no other element that is noble gas. So we can see this is E element, that is noble gas. Contains 3 protons. So 3 protons, it must have 3 electrons. So that must be B, because you can see 3 electrons here. Which one is phosphorus? So we'll look into the periodic table. Phosphorus belongs from which group? Phosphorus belongs from the group number 5 and period number 3. So it must have 5 electrons in the outermost shell and 3 shells, 1, 2 and 3 shells. So yes, this must be phosphorus. So we can say the F is the answer of the element in the group number 4 of the periodic table. Group number 4 elements must have 4 electrons in the outermost shell. Which structure is showing you the 4 electrons in the outermost shell? That is C. Alright. Of the element in the period 3. So the element that is having 3 shells here, it must belong from the period number 3. So it must have total 3 shells. So there is only one element that is having 3 shells, that is F again. So we'll mention F here with a full valence shell. So full valence shell means it must be a noble gas. So that is again E, full valence shell. Do we have any other element that is having completely filled outermost shell? No, we don't have any. So again, there is an E option, E structure. So hope so these questions are understood. So let's have a look on this question now. This is again the past paper question. So how we have to solve this question? Let's attempt this one. Which graph shows the number of electrons in the outer shell of the atom plotted against the proton number for the first 10 element in the periodic table? So there is option A, B, C and D. So beta ji, the first element is hydrogen, that is only having 1 electron in the outermost shell. Second is helium, that is having 2 electrons in the outermost shell. The third element, the proton number, is actually giving you the information about the atom. So the third element is the lithium. Lithium has 3 protons. Lithium has 3 protons but 1 valence electron. This electron is actually the 1 valence electron. 1 electron is present in the valence shell. It means from the third element we have to look where we are getting the value equivalent to 1 valence shell, and we are observing here. So this is the first element that is having 1 electron. This is the second element, helium, that is having 2 protons and 2 electrons. This is the third element that is having 3 protons but 1 electron. This is the fourth element, that is beryllium, which is having 4 protons and 2 electrons in the outermost shell. This is the fifth element, that is boron. Boron is having 5 protons but 3 valence electrons. 3 valence electrons. So up to so on till the element that is having proton number 10, that is neon. Neon is having 8 electrons in the outermost shell, 8 electrons in the valence shell. and yes, we are observing the same thing here. So there must be the C option correct. So now let's move to the next concept. How can we make a chemical formula? So just by understanding the periodic table, yes, we can make the chemical formula of different compounds. There is only one rule, that is known as crisscross method. Crisscross method, or you can say valency exchange method. What I am saying? Valency exchange method. So how valency exchange method helps to make the chemical formula? So how valency exchange method will help us to make the chemical formula of different compounds? So we know the monoatomic ions. Group number 1 is having +1 charge, so it is known as sodium cation. Group number 2 elements are having +2 charge on it, so that's why you can see Ca2 positive here, that is calcium cation. Similarly, we have oxygen that is having 2 negative charge because it belongs from the group number 6. So after gaining 2 electrons, it will carry 2 negative charge. So we'll name this oxide. So here we have a suffix ide. जिन भी एलिमेंट्स के लास्ट में आइड आ जाए, they are actually monoatomic anions. Mono means one, एक एटम वाले एनाइन. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ऑक्साइड, O2 negative. Ox, that is having oxygen atom, that reflects oxygen. So ide means it is having negative charge on it. Sulfide. So we'll look into the periodic table. Sulf, that is sulfur. So sulfur is carrying 2 negative charge. So that's why it is called as sulfide. So now tell me, what is nitride? Nitride, this is nitrogen. So nitrogen is having -3 charge because it belongs from the group number 5. So it is having -3 charge. So that's why this is monoatomic anion, or ide is the suffix of it. Okay? So how can we use these ions and can make the chemical formulae of different compounds? Because we know sodium chloride. What is the formula of sodium chloride? That is NaCl. So how did you know this thing? The NaCl is the formula of sodium chloride. Because sodium belongs from the group number 1 and chlorine belongs from the group number 7. Sodium is having +1 charge, chlorine is having -1 charge. So now we have to exchange the valencies. There is no need to put 1 here. So इसलिए हम लिख देते हैं इसको NaCl. There is no need to put 1. We just have to exchange the valencies, not the charges. Okay, just numbers को exchange करना है हमने. So what is the formula of calcium chloride? Calcium belongs from the group number 2, so it will have 2 positive charge. Chlorine is having -1 charge on it. So beta ji, this 2 will be written at the right bottom side of the chlorine atom, chlorine symbol. So beta ji, this becomes CaCl2, and if you want to write down 1 here, so you can write down. Otherwise there is no need to put this 1 here. Okay, it is understood that when there is nothing, there is 1. Aluminium chloride, Al belongs from the group number 3, so that's why it is having +3 charge, and chlorine is having -1 charge. So by exchanging the valencies, we can write down its formula, that is AlCl3. All right, so let me use another anion here now. So what should be the formula of aluminium oxide? Aluminium is Al3 positive. So oxide is having O2 negative. Let's try to make this formula now. So what should be its formula, beta? Al Okay, right bottom side पे we'll put 2 and at the right bottom side of oxygen we'll put 3. So this is the formula of aluminium oxide. So this is the concept of making the chemical formulae. Let's make few more chemical formulae. Okay, so what should be the formula of calcium chloride, calcium oxide? So there is the next rule. We know that calcium is having 2 positive charge and oxygen is having 2 negative charge. So when we are having same valences, we can cancel them. So when we are having same valences, we can cancel them and the formula becomes CaO. This is the formula of calcium oxide. Similarly, what is the formula of aluminium nitride? Aluminium nitride. So aluminium is having 3 positive charge and nitride means nitrogen is having 3 negative charge. So beta G, when we are having same charges, same valences, cancel them out and you will get Aln. This is aluminium nitride. Alright. Now please try to attempt the formulae, try to make the formulae of these following compounds. You can see on the screen now.